Okay folks, this is the demonstration for the Herby Veggie Crumble. As you can see, I have the recipe in front of me. The purpose of this video is for you to watch the demonstration so that you can see what you're doing ready for your first practical lesson. As you can see, I'm really well organised. I've got all of my equipment ready and some of my ingredients I've already prepared just to save a little bit of time for the purpose of this video. So following the instructions on the recipe, first thing I need to do is to measure my flour and my butter into the mixing bowl. As you can see, I've already done that. Now we need to combine those two things together, and that technique we're going to use is called rubbing in, and it's very simply using your fingertips and your thumbs just to mix the fat and the flour together. Now it's very important that you do this carefully. You don't have too much heat because you don't want to try and form a really tough dough. You're looking for breadcrumbs. That's the consistency of the mixture that you're looking for. Now the mixture will also turn slightly yellow because that's the colour of the butter. So they're the kind of visual things that you're looking for. And what the flour and the butter is, the main thing is the topping ingredient for your veggie crumble. If you think it's ready, okay, to test it, if you tap the side of the bowl, lumps come to the top, just pick up one of the lumps. If when you squeeze it, it's still butter, then keep rubbing in. Okay, so that's the key term for this, is rubbing in. If you ever make biscuits or scones or anything where you have to combine flour and margarine or butter, this is the technique you generally would use. Next year in year 8 you'll make pastry with me, and again that is the technique that you're going to do to combine that. Now again, if you think it's ready this time, hopefully, tap the bowl. Any lumps that come to the top, they're not butter anymore. That's a nicely crumbed mixture. Okay, so looking at my mixture, and this is grate the cheese. I've already done that. Okay, so I'm going to stir in the cheese, the oats, and about a teaspoon's worth of mixed herbs. So not too much. Okay, now you can stir it in with a spoon, but I quite like using my hands. I think they're great tools for you to use. Trying to evenly distribute all those flavours and all those ingredients, and there, that's your crumble topping made. Really nice, quick and easy. So I'm just going to pop that to the side. Okay, next, the filling. Really, really simple. Full of loads of simple vegetables, full of flavour, full of nutrition, and this is where you can be a bit creative if you want. The recipe says you've got 1 red pepper, some passata or can of chopped tomatoes, some mushrooms and a leek. Okay, if there's any of these ingredients you don't like, please feel free to substitute them, but that's the really important thing. Okay, you need to substitute. If you take something out, you must add something in. Okay, so the grips that you've used before, you've peeled, diced, sliced your carrots, you've made your coleslaw, they're the same knife skills that you're used to. So obviously I've got my sharp knife. I'm going to start with the pepper. Okay, using my claw grip, I'm going to hold on to the pepper, and I'm just going to cut the pepper at the very top. Okay, because you can use that bit, it's great to use. I've got my plastic bowl ready for my rubbish, and then I'm just going to put my hand in and try and pull out all of the seeds and those white bits that you don't want. Okay, just those white bits that you don't want. Then I'm just going to run it under the tap just to get rid of any loose bits. Okay. Now obviously peppers, they've got waxy outside bits, so I need to make sure that I'm using my grip and I'm actually going to cut it from the inside. Okay, because the knife will go through it really easily. Now in my Herby crumble, I want chunks of pepper, so I'm going to slice it first, and then I'm going to turn it lengthways, and I'm just going to cut it into chunks. Okay, now you can do one bit at a time if you want. That's absolutely fine, or if you can put a few pieces together, that's equally acceptable. And then once you've prepped, I've got a big mixing bowl, and I'm going to just pop them into there. Okay? Same again with this side. Let's move that out of the way. Just going to slice them, nice big chunks. Now what you're doing with the pepper, in particular, a lot of people when they cook with pepper, they generally overcook them, a bit like carrots. When you overcook them, they go really soft and chewy. The great thing about ingredients like peppers and carrots is they add texture to the dish that you're making. Okay, so you don't want to overcook them. You want them to provide that little bit of crunch into the dish that you're making. Now, because of the way we did the pepper, you can still use the top bit. So I'm just going to cut that into chunks, like so. Okay, into my bowl. Next, mushrooms. Now, these aren't everybody's favourite ingredients, okay? I love mushrooms personally, but if you don't want to use mushrooms, other ingredients can be used instead. But it's a personal choice. But just remember to substitute something back in instead of just keeping these out. I'm going to give these a quick wash. Okay, and all I need to do with these is cut them in half. Alright, now on the recipe it says 4 mushrooms. That's obviously 4 normal sized mushrooms. I'm using little baby mushrooms. So I'm just going to cut them in half. I'm using my bridge hold, as you can see. So using the skills that you've already learned, and I'm popping them in the same bowl as the peppers. Okay? So thinking about colour, you've got the red of the pepper, you've got the kind of the whiteness of the mushrooms, and also the texture of the mushrooms I always think are really nice, but I think that's the number one thing that people don't like about mushrooms. It can be a bit chewy. Now the final thing, leek. Really, really great vegetable, full of nutrition, okay? But also they grow in the ground like many vegetables do, or all vegetables do, and it might be a little bit dirty, so you need to wash it, alright? Very important for food safety. Now, just like with the carrots, I'm going to take the top and the tail off. Now, depending on how you want the texture of your leek in your dish, it says on the recipe, if you look very carefully, slice the leeks and the red pepper. I've obviously chopped mine up. The leeks, I'm just going to slice all the way along. Nice big bits of leek. Because I want the texture, the crunchiness and the freshness of these leeks really to go throughout the dish. On the recipe it says use 2 small leeks. I've got a very big one that I'm using here. So that's how I've compensated. Don't think I'm not using 2 because it was quite a big leek. Okay? So that goes into the mixing bowl too. And then finally, call the mushrooms. I've already done that. Brilliant. So there's my main ingredients for my dish. Move that out of the way. I'm just going to mix them up with my hands. And then they go into my baking dish. Now remember I showed you some of those aluminium foil trays that you could use, but if you've brought a baking dish, that's absolutely brilliant. Now if you get to a point where you think, oh, I've got too much topping, okay, don't overfill it. Alright, either bring a bigger dish next time, or just half fill it and then we can give you something to take the rest of the ingredients home in. Okay, if you overfill it, you might start making a mess of the dish. Now on top of the vegetables, I'm using passata. Remember that's the thing that I said you could use, but it can